WNST, Towson, Baltimore. We'll be watching the AFC and NFC championship games this weekend and trying to stay warm and trying to get ready for draft day, but college basketball is fully in bloom. We will be over at Coppin State on Saturday swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry. Coppin State taking on Morgan State, little crosstown rivalry. You'll hear that game here on WNST, and of course we are your home for Eagles basketball all winter long with Juan Dixon and Dwayne Burrows and the ladies and men's Eagles at Coppin State Sports. This guy travels from one hardwood to another. Sometimes he's down in Navy and in Maryland and at UMBC and Towson and Loyola and all over the place. He is Robert Canady. He joins us weekly to discuss local college basketball issues. And first things, welcome in. How are things down at Compass Point? I know you've had a little snow, a little ice, a little this, a little that, but at some point we'll get that thing cleared off. But meanwhile, you got a lot of good college basketball to watch around here on the hardwoods.
Absolutely. That's one good thing about the college basketball being an indoor sport. We may have snow on the course that kind of slows things down, but, still doesn't stop me from getting out to the gyms, as you mentioned, and I've been hitting almost every one of those that you mentioned at some point or another this season. So it's been a great season so far, and, right in the prime middle of conference season, about a third into it for a lot of the teams. So it's going good, and looking forward to, kind of the next 6 to 7 weeks here.
I think one of the themes is getting ready for conference play for all of these coaches. It's something I've talked about. I had Ryan Odom on earlier this week. They're faring well right now. Towson getting into the meat of their schedule. But it really kind of feeds off of Maryland, at least over my 27 years of doing sports radio here, that around now you sort of figure out whether Maryland was going to have a chance to beat Duke or North Carolina, whether they're going to really give Michigan State or Purdue a run. And right now, based on what we're seeing from this team, they had a winnable game on Monday night out in Ann Arbor. They let it slip away in a lot of ways. I mean, there are a lot of things we could talk about, inbounding passes and all of that sort of thing. But it's always a little darker when it feels like Maryland won't make the tournament. And right now, if you're giving me $1 to bet on them or against them, for the first time, I'm taking that $1 back and saying, with what they have right now with the injuries, I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, you're right. They're the big dog in this area when it comes to college hoops, and the one that everyone, if you're a fan of college basketball and not, just in general, that's the one team that you pretty much can count on having a lot better shot than not most years of being in that tournament and representing the area. They've done it really well over the last several years.
Well, it's been a reloading thing, right? And yeah. Gary had to figure that out too. And certainly Turgeon really had to figure it out 2 years ago when Trimble stuck around and nobody else did. But you'd like to think for the 9 months when you're not playing basketball, you'd like to conjure up some way you could be over 500 in your conference, right? And if you're in a small school, you want to conjure up the distance between you and Vermont, you and George Mason, to say, can we really go in March and win a conference tournament? Can we be playing well enough? Will we have enough talent to do that at the smaller schools? At Maryland, it's more of an ongoing building thing during the season where you get tested every night, and it's really, really clear they don't have the horses for the courses right now.
They really don't, and like you said, you go through that planning season, and I'm sure Turgeon did it, and as we've talked about, I think a time or two in the earlier part of the season, his planning was to have Justin Jackson, and run 80% of that offense through him, and that got thrown out the window, about a month ago with his season-ending injury. So, right now they're down to about a 8-man rotation, which has been 7 the last couple of games, with Deion Wiley being in concussion protocol and not knowing if he'll be back for the Minnesota game Thursday. So, they are really shorthanded and having to rely, upon, Cowan and Herter and Morcell, we've talked about, has been off and on. So, you haven't really seen the production there. Fernando has been pretty good, but they're just struggling to score with this rotation and having problems on the defensive end. And you put those two together, it's not usually a good formula for sustained winning.
Well, Cowan's playing well. We'll say that, right? He looks like he belongs, but, what's he going to play, 41 minutes a night every night? That's probably not a recipe here over the next 8 weeks to have him playing well when they get to New York the last week of February, right?
Right, yeah. You worry about that, the rigors of the Big Ten schedule. It's 18 games and against, tough, big, strong guys. And, he's only a sophomore. We say that, only a sophomore. You don't have to worry about, sooner or later them hitting the freshman wall like they might have last year. By now, he's an experienced player. But still, that's with the ball in his hands for 40 minutes a game and being relied upon is the main scorer. Like I said, he can't play 40 minutes and he can't score 80 points a game by himself. And Hurwood, to his credit, had I didn't get to see all the game Monday night because I was actually out at UMBC that night, and there was they played at similar times, but I did get to see the end of it, and he struggled, for most of the game, but hit 2 big shots down the stretch, which is what you needed. And
he hit the game winner. It didn't add up to the game winner, but he hit the game winner.
Yeah, he did. 3 seconds to go, hit a huge 3-pointer that should, by all intents and purposes, been the game winner, as you said. And but then again, they made a Turgeon took it upon himself, as a coaching decision on that last play of the game. He said, don't put that on Cowan or anyone else. It was, he decided not to guard the inbounds pass and, let them get a free inlet pass. And, that's what happens when you lose. Coaches get second guessed. If it turned out the guy missed a shot, it probably would have been a good decision, So, that's the life of a college coach. He lives and dies with every decision, and you move on to your, I know you've heard this, through all this, not just college basketball, but, football as well. Coaches, they agonize over the victories so much more so than they do celebrate the wins,
That's true.
And Turgeon's had a lot of that, unfortunately, this year.
He is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter and down at Compass Point Golf, where the course is open some days, just not on the snowy days. The best place to play all winter long when it is open. Friendly folks down there, and, of course, close to home, and you can also book your events and do all your stuff with Robert Canady down at compasspointgolf.com. That's Compass Point. The point has a silent E. You can find that out online. You can find Robert Canady at a court near you. Towson with a huge win on Saturday against William & Mary. We're going to talk about the local team, certainly UMBC playing well right now, as well as Towson, giving themselves maybe some hope to believe the conference tournament's going to be an interesting weekend for those specific programs, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I just mentioned about the highs and lows of coaching, and Pat Scarry saw the reverse of that in the last week. They lost an absolute gut punch to the gut on Thursday night, where they had the ball in a tie game with a chance to take the winning shot, and they threw up a 3 too early, and Hofstra went down and hit a 3 on their end to win it at the buzzer, a game that they had led by 10 points with 5 minutes to go. So they absolutely let that get away. And then they came back and went on the road, and they just basically steamrolled William & Mary down in Williamsburg on Saturday night with probably, I tweeted this out, is probably the best offensive performance I've seen a Towson team play in the 7 years I've been covering them. I mean, there were all sorts of stats that were thrown out there, the Kim Palm stats for offensive efficiency. It was the 5th most efficient CAA game in history. Just from an offensive standpoint.
But they didn't score 100.
No, they didn't. They got stopped just short of that, But putting up 99 against William & Mary on the road, I think Pat would take his chances with that any day of the week. And they got their Morcell. They got their Morcell playing better. And he struggled a little bit in conference season off and on. And he had a huge game. And he's one of, even though he's not their leading scorer this year, he's been a consistent scoring threat for them for 4 years, and he's a big shot guy, kind of like Herter. He may only have 12 or 13 points, but usually he's one that they have the ball in his hand when a shot needs to be taken. And unfortunately, he actually wasn't on the floor in that Hofstra game toward the end. A coaching decision as well on Scary's part that probably came back and bit them. But so they're sitting really well. I mean, they're 3-3. And them in Charleston is at 3-3, and they were the 2 favorites, so they got 5 teams ahead of them. But 4 of those 5 teams are all 4-2, so it's a jam-packed thing in the CAA, and a lot of that will sort itself out over the next 6 or 7 weeks as they head to their conference tournament as well. So,
all these teams have 20 games under their belt. We all know who the star players are, right? I mean, same thing with Towson with Morcell, same thing with how well the point guard's playing down at Maryland right now and Cowan Jr., but UMBC's got a star too, and he filled it up on Monday night. I know you were out there for Jairus Lyles, and he's among the better players in the area and certainly a reason to go watch some basketball.
Absolutely, he is. I mean, he's just he's a graduate student, came back his 5th year, and he's what makes them go. He's just a tremendous 3-point shooter. Ryan Odom, talked about after the game, and I think he mentioned it when he was on with you earlier in the week, that when he takes good shots, good things happen. I mean, he's not the type that forces a lot of bad shots anyway, but if he works to get open and he's open and gets a good look, chances are it's going to go down, and he's one of the things I have in my mind that I'll probably do somewhere toward the end of the season is, come up with an all-area, Baltimore area team, as far as this season goes. And I think Jarris Lyles will be at the top of the list on that team in one form or another. And, they're sitting there really good in the America East Conference right now. They'll have a big game with Vermont coming up in a few weeks. Will probably open the new event center that they'll be showing off. So that's kind of exciting, and that'll be a big game for them to set up a conference tournament.
That's the day before the Super Bowl. That's the anniversary. That'll be the day that Ray Lewis goes into the Hall of Fame. Same afternoon.
Absolutely, yep. That weekend, so that'll be a big sports weekend. There, and then the Super Bowl the next day. And I think Maryland has a basketball game on that Super Bowl Sunday earlier in the day as well. So there'll be a lot going on locally that weekend.
This
Even
weekend,
no team will be participating in the Super Bowl local team.
Yeah, this weekend we're going to be over Coppin State. We'll be swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry. Coppin plays Morgan at 4. The ladies play at 2. We'll be over there with the booth for There Goes My Hero. My wife and I'll be over Coppin in the afternoon, so stop over and say hello if you're over off of North Avenue on Saturday afternoon. No doubt the Coppin's struggling, right? I mean, 1-19. Juan's got his hands full, and now the crosstowners come. Todd brings Morgan State over there on Saturday. Morgan's been okay. They not taking as many money games as they used to take, so the record doesn't look as bad, but certainly 3-2 in the MEAC. Morgan's got a chance there, although and North Carolina Central and Bethune-Cookman look pretty good too.
Right, they do. I like Morgan. They've got a very experienced team, and they got a couple good scorers, and in that tournament, I give them a lot better than an even chance of winning it when they get together at Norfolk there in March. And they did lose to the 2 North Carolina teams on the road down there this weekend, Central and A&T. But other than that, they had won the first 3 games. So I expect them to be a high seed in that tournament, and I think I like their chances down there very well. I mean, Philip Carr is one of the better big players in the area. It doesn't get a lot of attention, but definitely looking forward to see how they end up in their season.
Give me a little golf news here. I know we're not hitting it out there, and I know especially on Wednesday morning with the schools being closed and whatnot, but better days are ahead for any golf course and for anybody that's waiting on sunshine around here. I know you guys are putting together a bunch of tournaments and stuff out at Compass Point. It's a great time to call and get your event together, even if the event's not till next fall, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been doing a lot the last several weeks, booking the spring and summer tournaments and everything. And then as far as the big news in the industry goes, I'll be down in Florida next week at the annual PGA Merchandise Show, and that's where all the big companies bring out their new drivers. It's going to increase your drive by 20 yards, and the new irons that are going to make you hit it to 5 feet, and then they're in all the putts that are going to drain every putt. So I'll be down there looking for the Magic Club to bring back to carry in our shop. So that
where are you going to be in Florida? Anywhere good?
It's in Orlando. So yep. So we'll be doing actually it's funny, we'll be down there the same week as the Pro Bowl practices and everything. So I don't know if I'll get out to see any of that. I think we're probably going to take a day and go see Disney. But other than that, it'll be 3 full days of work.
Too early for spring training, though, man. Way too early for you. You're a month early, bro.
Yeah, I will be missing that and everything, but I'll just be enjoying getting some sunshine and not having to put the snow boots on, and like I said, see all the new exciting equipment coming out that we'll be able to talk about and everything. So that'll be fun next week. You
can find him at Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. Golf in the spring and the summer, college basketball inside, especially with the local schools on the hardwoods here. We'll be at Coppin State on Saturday. I'm sure you'll be at a hardwood near us, and I'm sure next week we'll check in with you from Florida again. And 2 weeks from now, we are at Super Bowl 52 in Minnesota. So we'll be strangers in the night, but we'll find each other. Robert Canady, always good to have you on, my friend.
Absolutely. That's it. That calendar keeps turning, and we'll keep doing it. So thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
It'll get warmer eventually. Compass Point Golf Course down in Pasadena. The best place to play, close to home. It can be found at compasspointgolf.com. Don't forget the silent E on the point on Compass Point to find them down in Pasadena. You can find me out in the bay at Toyota.com Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. I want to remind everybody we are releasing Purple Rain 2, a chapter a day day, every day. This week, Wednesday was Ed Reed. Tuesday was O.J. Brigance. Monday was Ray Lewis. This weekend, you'll be hearing the life story of Joe Flacco as told in 2013. I have not changed a word. All of it's up online. If you have not read the book, this is your opportunity to read it for free, a chapter a day, every day. Also be making some big announcements, career and WNST announcements in Minneapolis at the Mall of America, Super Bowl week, so we'll have some big news. So I'm working on some big projects around here. I'm excited to be telling everybody about it. Luke and I will be a week in Minneapolis 2 weeks from now. You can find us also in the morning newspaper. It delivers to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. It's all powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. We're still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. Had a little glitch getting the paper out earlier this week. We will be getting that out to you promptly, I promise you. Last but never least, any breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis is going to be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, getting you ready for Patriots, Jaguars. I think we're all Jaguars fans this weekend, as well as the Eagles and the Vikings this weekend, watching some championship weekend football. You can follow along on our social media as well with Luke and I. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.